You're listening to Veterans for Recovery, a podcast that unpacks all things recovery within our extended military family. Join your host, retired Major John Donovan, a noted author, lecturer, and person in long-term recovery from substance use disorder, as he and his guests will break down current trending topics and research, along with all things recovery related to increasing recovery resilience and recovery capital within our veteran and service member communities. Now here's your host, Major John Donovan.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Veterans for Recovery. This is a podcast that looks at all things pertaining to our veterans, service members, and their family members who are in recovery or seeking recovery. I'm John Donovan, a retired major of the U.S. Army, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. With me today are my guests, Greg and Lisa. Today, Lisa and Greg and I will explore what recovery means and how it impacts our lives. Welcome, Greg and Lisa, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Hey, thank you, John.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the interest of full disclosure, Greg and Lisa and I have all served together. And Lisa, the first time that you and I served together was in Iraq in 2007, but you had been there a little before I got there. In fact, you were on what historians have referred to as the long haul, a brigade that deployed for almost 2 years. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yes, I deployed in September of 2005, and we didn't get home until July of 2007. So around 24 months, give and take, to include leave and whatnot. Some people actually went above and beyond that. So it was quite different being gone as long as we had been.
Yeah, very much so. And I served on the last part of that deployment. I was supposed to come over as a support package to help all of you come out of the desert. It was supposed to be just to kind of turn and burn 30 to 90 days to help you guys come out. And I stepped off the C-130 onto the tarmac in Tallil, where the brigade headquarters was. And I step off, and the S-1 team is there to greet me, and they say, "You got extended too?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Yeah, you're here till July." So I got to spend 6 months in the desert with all of you. Now, Greg, you and I served together with the 1st Brigade Combat Team. Is that correct?
We did. That's when we first met. That's correct. We were both on the staff, the brigade staff.
And tell our listeners a little bit about your background. I think if you had a ring for every deployment, it would fill up one hand and half the other hand.
Correct. Yeah. I earlier in my career, when I was a young gentleman, I came out of college, did 5 years in the Marines, did a couple of deployments there. And then when I came over to Minnesota Army National Guard, where you and I met, I added another 5 more on top of that. So should have bought some real estate stock in over there in Iraq and Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan.
Well, thank you both for your service to our nation. Greg, you retired as a lieutenant colonel. Lisa, you retired as a sergeant major. For our listeners who may not be familiar with the ranks, Lisa went from the lowest enlisted grade, E1, to the highest enlisted grade, E9. And Greg retired as an 05, and we are just internally and especially grateful for the service that both of you rendered to our nation. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Well, thank you as well for what you've done as well. So don't forget that.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
It has been my honor and my pleasure. Well, let's get to the topic at hand, because you two have continued this tradition of service, this idea of giving back. And, you know, our nation just so desperately needs people like you, who, in quoting John Kennedy, ask not what your nation can do for you, ask what you can do for your nation. And you two embody that, because not only did you give your careers and lives in the service of our nation while wearing the uniform of our armed forces, you now have continued that tradition by giving back to other veterans through your nonprofit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a couple things. One is Outdoor Warrior Nation which is an abbreviation is OWN, which is a 501c3 organization that works with military and first responders to include dispatchers with mental trauma, physical and emotional stress, and like-minded people who want to get together and get engaged in Mother Nature. We host multiple events to help military and first responders and their families reconnect with the community, which includes peer-to-peer support and camaraderie. We host events throughout the year that are exciting and empowering, that connect them to each other, as well as just leading them in a new direction, which is what OWN is all about.
Yeah, some of the events that we do, which I really enjoy. I love putting people smiles on people's faces. We do fishing, kayaking, skydiving, horse therapy, and we even do archery hunting, just to name a few.
Wow, that is so cool. And I love the name OWN because we know that you have to own your recovery, right? Uh, you have to really embrace this. And what you guys are doing is providing them a vehicle to get in touch with some of those underlying issues, some of those maybe lingering issues from deployment, from service. You mentioned first responders, you mentioned dispatchers, an incredible amount of stress involved in those jobs. And sometimes that stress can linger. It lingers in our bodies, it lingers in our minds. And you're providing people an experience, an opportunity, a vehicle in which to get in touch with some of that and to alleviate it. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, when Lisa and I both retired, probably about 5 years ago, we still felt like that we could add purpose to our lives and purpose to other people's lives, and come up with a new mission, but in the nonprofit arena, which we knew nothing about. We wanted to give back. We've deployed with others in other deployments, people, sisters and brothers that we've served with that have, unfortunately, committed suicide. And I'll tell you, for Lisa and I, that just breaks our heart when we see people that we know, and we get the word that they've gone to heaven. The family hurts, everybody around them hurts, their friends hurt. So we decided that we needed to do more. We understand that the VA tries to do their best, but they're overwhelmed. And so we feel like there needs to be an organization out there that cares about their first responders and military and want to show the love and the support that they need. And so we came up with Outdoor Warrior Nation.
But we also, we know that military go into a first responder role a majority of time, and first responders go into the military. So it's kind of a hand-in-hand opportunity for us to reach out to both organizations and to let them know that we had this nonprofit, that we would actually pay for them to actually go and have fun and enjoy their families. Because again, one of the things that we learned is if a person is hurting, so is the family. If the family is hurting, so is the person. So to make sure that we have the opportunity to do something with both, we wanted the families included.
That is so cool. And we have seen that in, I might say, traditional recovery. And when I say that, I'm talking about substance use disorder, alcoholism. We often say that, if you want to find somebody who's got a substance use disorder, just look at their son, look at their daughter, look at their wife. And you can tell that there's trauma. You can tell that there's pain by the way the family member carries themselves. And what I hear you saying is that there's some really distinct kind of parallels between post-traumatic stress disorder, some of the trauma that our veterans and first responders would be carrying, and that some of that is physical and recognizable in the loved ones around them. Can you unpackage that a little bit more for us?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. I'll tell you, I'm going to give it a quick example. I've got a couple stories, but You can definitely see the pain on the military, the people that serve in the military or their current first responders or were first responders. You can see the pain when you first meet them. Um, Lisa and I, we've noticed that when we meet somebody new that comes to Outdoor Warrior Nation, or they just come to an event for the first time, you can tell that the body language is just, they're at rock bottom. And so usually by the end of one of these events, you can tell with the body language, the enthusiasm, the energy, that it's a lot more positive and they're more upbeat. So it's really important for us to keep these events going, make sure that they know that these events will keep going and that they have a support system with us. Um, because it really, it breaks my heart when I see somebody in pain. And if we can do something, if Lisa and I can do something with Outdoor Warrior Nation with some kind of event, and we do lots of different events, then we're gonna do it. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer.
And I guess, John, the other thing that goes with that is not only do we do things outside like fishing, kayaking, jumping out of a plane, skydiving, we also do 5K walks. We do ruck marches with there are people that are up there in Minnesota. But we also make sure that we also do things indoor as well, especially with Minnesota and Wisconsin being as cold as it was. We planned an indoor wall climbing. We're also looking at doing a snow tubing. So it's just really about getting the families and people together.
Yeah, that is so important, and that's so cool, Lisa. And what I really like too is that like the uh, you said 5K walk. I flipped back to the time that I was stationed in Germany. We called it Volksmarching. But low impact events, for the person who might not be into high adrenaline kind of activities like skydiving, but maybe just a walk through the forest is more of their thing. That you are running events that kind of go from the spectrum. If you want to go skydiving or snow tubing, if you want to do a ruck march with a full 60-pound pack, or you just want to walk by yourself. You're kind of providing a full spectrum of activities to meet people where they are.
Yeah, absolutely, John. We do. I mean, we also do golf, and we have
And horse therapy.
Yeah, horse therapy. So there's a lot of different variety out there because we know that everybody wants to do the same thing. We're down in
I got to jump in here real quick. Did you just say golf?
Yep. We do go. We sponsor teams for golfing.
Okay, after this interview, we got to talk.
Okay.
Absolutely. We'll team up on something. We'll talk some more about it. But yeah, everybody has different things they enjoy. We just did, because we're in Florida. We also expanded in Florida now too. So we're in a tri-state, and we're in the southwest side of Florida especially during the wintertime. And we just did a women's fishing event, which you can see on our Facebook page. We had the pictures out there under Outdoor Warrior Nation. And I'll tell you, the fish they were catching, the manatees and the dolphins we were seeing, and the flamingos. Yeah, flamingos. There's a lot of smiles in those pictures, and you can see the positivity. So we're trying to grow something here where that we can impact people from all over. But definitely our foundation is up in Minnesota and Wisconsin, but there's a lot of Minnesotans and Wisconsinites and other folks that are on this side. So it actually works out to be in the tri-state, the 3 states.
And just another thing, that when we first started, River Falls really did open their hearts to us and let us expand into, we made mistakes, but we also improved and we went further. And one of the things that Greg and I have noticed is, due to our backgrounds, between logistics and planning and pre-planning and all that, it has definitely helped us to make a plan and stick with it and adjust as we need to.
Yeah, that's what a dynamic duo, because again, for our listeners who may not be familiar with the military, Sergeant Major Wickner, Lisa, spent her career in the human resources field. And so this idea of coming up with a plan, executing the plan, and then reevaluating the plan, it's in her DNA. And then her husband, Greg, was in operations. And we were talking about that earlier. He kind of just said, yeah, I did operations. And I'm like, oh, you mean like one of the most important jobs in the military? Uh, so when these two put their heads together, I imagine that it's something really, really incredible. Now, let me go back here for a second because you touched on equine therapy. Tell our listeners a little bit about that and what you're doing there.
So we have a couple places that we have worked with. One is actually two of them are in River Falls. And what we do is we invite families to come out, and then they already have like a set plan of how to work it out, but they have like 4 or 5 horses, and people go out and to include their children, but separately, because they learn to actually figure out and understand their emotional issues that they're having, because the horses will only go to you or kind of listen to you if they know that you're sure about what's going on.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing that I learned of the horse therapy when we started doing this some years back is, and the listeners will love this. If you grab a horse and you hang on and you hold on to the horse and just hug the horse, that horse will actually, your heartbeat will slow down. The horses, it's amazing. They're a majestic, strong animal. And it's amazing at some of these events that we've done on the horse farm. And just I just seen people come in with so much anxiety. And by the end of, in a couple hours, by the end of the event, they're just at peace. They're calm, and their family is. It's amazing.
Let me give you another example is we also did learn how to actually handle horses and get on the back of the horses. I was one of those people that were afraid. And it wasn't until I fell that I started laughing, and I realized, you know what, you can fall off of them and it's okay. You're not going to get hurt. You just have to know what to do.
So yeah, Lisa touched on a good point. It's about owning yourself and owning your future. So it's okay to fail. And that's another aspect that we bring into, besides leadership and mentorship with our nonprofit, is we like to let people know it's okay to fall off the horse and then get back on, right?
And that is so important in regard to so many aspects of our life, right?
Correct.
That a failure, a mistake doesn't have to be the end all and be all. It can just be a little blip on the radar where we have recommitted ourselves. We have gotten figuratively, metaphorically back on the horse and started over. That is incredible stuff. I had the privilege of growing up with horses. My father owned a farm in central Minnesota. And you're absolutely right. Incredible, majestic animals, and so intuitive. I mean, if you go in with fear and anxiety, the horses sense that. If you go in with calm and confidence, they sense that too. I want to touch real quickly, and we're going to go back to this later, but you've talked about your nonprofit. How can people get in touch with you? What is the website that you would like to drive them to?
Yes, we actually have a couple sites. So our website is outdoorwarriornation.org. Just punch it in Google and there'll be you'll see it come up right at the top. Also, Facebook page, just do a search for Outdoor Warrior Nation.
And on Instagram. But if you want to do some of these events, which are absolutely for free, the only thing that we ask is that you sign up. You can either sign up as a volunteer or you can sign up as a member, and that is on our website, outdoorwarriornation.org.
Under membership and volunteers.
Very cool. And then you've talked a little bit about, but I just want to highlight 3 states. So Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Florida. You have events going on in these 3 states. Same point of contact, your website for whatever state that you're in. Fill in the blank there.
Yes. So all of our events are going to be on our website, and we're actually finalizing some of the planning as we are talking right now for May. Like, for instance, we have opening fishing in Minnesota that we do at the Veterans Campground in Scania. We also are doing possibly a kayak event there as well. And then we're also doing this music in the park on Memorial Day in the Lakefront Park in Hudson. So there's a lot of different events going to go on, and we'll post them right there on our site.
So cool. Now, our listeners are listening to this and they're going, gosh, I'd really like to be involved in that. I'd really like to participate in some of those things. I'd really like to volunteer for that. And then for those people in there saying, you know what, I'd really like to contribute to that. How can our listeners contribute to your program to help others engage in these activities?
Well, for starters, so Lisa and I, we definitely love donations. 100% of our donations are put back into the organization. Lisa and I, we just live off our retirement, our fixed income. We do not pay ourselves at all. 100% goes back into the organization. I had somebody one time ask me, well, if I give you this much money, what can you do? If I give you more, I said, well, we can do more events and we can impact people's lives in more of a positive manner. So we definitely encourage donations. You know what? You can reach out to us and contact us. We have a donate button also. But also Lisa, if you want to give her a call, her number is 763-226-0669. And she would definitely love to talk to you.
That number again is 763-226-0669.
Correct.
Outstanding. Well, Greg, Lisa, this has just been so incredible. We've talked about so many topics here in these 15, 20 minutes that we've been discussing your own foundation, Outdoor Warrior Nation. I love it.
Just remember, it's an abbreviation just like anything else.
And in the military, we love our abbreviations.
Well, we do.
So what haven't you said to our listeners that you would like them to take away from this?
Well, I just want to say we encourage anybody that has served or is currently serving, military or first responders, to include dispatchers, and your family, to be a part of our family, Outdoor Warrior Nation family. We guarantee that you will enjoy being part of the family, doing the events, meeting new people, creating that great positive camaraderie, but more important, creating great memories. And so we just want to encourage people to reach out and meet new folks that are like-minded. We're all cut from the same cloth. And I think and I know it's very important for all of us to come together and support each other, John.
The other one last piece, and I just want to make sure that it's mentioned, is that we've been around already for about 4 or 5 years. We're not going away. This is something that is a passion for us, to want to help people and to stop the suicides out there and to get people to realize that there is other options.
So important, so cool. The organization is called Outdoor Warrior Nation. You can find them on the web. You can find them on Facebook. If you're looking for them on the web, just Google Greg, Lisa, fill in the blank. What would they Google?
OutdoorWarriorNation.org.
And if they are on Facebook, they can contact you on what Facebook page?
Outdoor Warrior Nation. Instagram is the same thing. It's outdoor_warrior_nation. And really, if they want to send us an email, it's really outdoorwarriornation@gmail.com.
Outstanding. If you are looking to make a donation to the organization, you can call 763-226-0669. Lisa, Greg, it has just been incredible talking to both of you today. And again, I want to thank you for your previous service to our nation, and thank you for the current role that you're doing in servicing and providing comfort and activities for those who have served.
Hey, thank you very much, John, for having us on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. In closing, Again, I'd like to thank our guests for being with us today. It was a fascinating conversation. To our listeners, thank you for spending a little time with us to learn more about Veterans for Recovery. This has been a podcast of the Coming Home Well Network. Until next time, be well, think well, and do well. This is Major John Donovan, signing off.
You've been listening to Veterans for Recovery, a Coming Home Well podcast. We value your feedback. Please be sure to leave a review, share, and download this episode. We thank our veterans and service members for your service to our country. We thank our friends and families for their support. And thank you for listening to Veterans for Recovery.